Many agents start out part-time with another full-time job and eventually want to get into being a full-time real estate agent, but the problem is that most just simply don't know how because they don't have a plan. So what we're doing today is I'm bringing on Marty Pettiford, who started with us as a part-time agent and was very quickly able to go full-time into real estate, and right now she's absolutely crushing it. So what we're going to be diving into in this video is Marty's going to break down her exact plan that she used in order to get out of part-time in a very strategic manner and the things that she's doing to absolutely crush it with video. She's now closing a ton of transactions from her free YouTube videos using a really unique strategy about forming relationships and highlighting the properties in a very strategic way that allow her to become recognized as the go-to agent in her market. And the best part is that anybody can do these strategies. So before we get started, I just want to mention two quick things. Number one, I'm going to be linking Marty's YouTube channel below so that you can see firsthand the incredible content she's putting out that you can do as well, because it's really not difficult as long as you follow what she says in this video. Now, many of her videos, even as a small channel, are getting tens of thousands of views and attracting clients every single week. And I'm also going to link Marty's calendar link below, because we want to talk about partnering with her, going part-time, full-time, and align with people that have a proven blueprint process that you can follow. Again, feel free to book a meeting with her. So without further ado, let's dive in and show you how to go from part-time to full-time and crush your local market with leveraging modern video strategies. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode, and I'm super excited to bring on one of my business partners here, Marty Pettiford from Atlanta, Georgia. And we're going to be talking about some incredible stuff that she's done that is really relatable to a lot of people in the industry, which is she managed to go from part-time to full-time by leveraging modern strategies. And it's been incredible just to see the trajectory of her business and being able to make that transition with a plan. I know a lot of people are kind of stuck in the part-time, kind of lifestyle, and they don't know how to get out. So hopefully this is going to give you a bit of a blueprint of what you can do, follow in Marty's footsteps, and start to see how you can take your business to the next level. So Marty, what's going on? Welcome to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, it's been really exciting to see that trajectory, because I remember when we first talked, quite some time ago when you were thinking about, joining the group and things like that, and you were still part-time, but you had a plan and a vision to go full-time. So before we kind of get into some of the tactical strategies, why don't you just give people a bit of a rundown of, who you are, what you're doing, and what kind of led you to this point?
So I'm Marty Pettiford. I'm an agent in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I'm a mom. And I started out as a real estate agent part-time. And from the moment, actually, before I got my license, I knew I didn't want to be part-time forever. And I was just one of those people that had to essentially get out in order to create the financial freedom that I desired for me and my family. So that led me to EXP. It also led me to the Wolf Pack, and everything just aligned. We had the same goals and the same vision, and it allowed me to create what I wanted to create in order to, get my family to the next step. And that was me um, leaving my full-time job and going full-time in real estate. And the next step after that is just the trajectory that will, make me a top producing agent in the area.
I love that. And, why don't you dive a little bit deeper into that in terms of like, you've got kind of a very relatable story in terms of, you've got a husband, you've got kids, started out part-time. What kind of approach did you take from like a business plan perspective in terms of saying, okay, I'm starting part-time, I've got to balance all these other aspects of life. What was your kind of plan to say, this is what I'm going to do, and once this happens, I'm going to burn the ship, and then I'm just going to go full-time and fully commit?
Right. So my background is administrative, corporate turn retail management. So I worked for a grocery store, and within that retailer, I actually worked at corporate side and operations as an administrative assistant, and then I went into management. So those aspects of that business, learning how operations work, and then also learning the front side, how to make money in a business. And those were things that I could really take what I learned, the fundamentals, and use anywhere. So I started from a business mindset. I knew I had to have, I wanted a certain goal to make. And I knew I had to have X amount of homes sold at X amount of dollars. And that's where I started from. So I started really planning before I got my license because I'm a planner. And I needed to have everything, like I'm telling you, like I would dedicate my time to studying for my license. And then the other time I would use business planning. And I would do a lot of research on YouTube, like what do I want to do? Do I want to cold call? Do I want to just do social media marketing? Do I want to run ads? And I came up with a system that used a little bit of everything. And I could see what was taken off and whatever was leading to the most results, focus my efforts into that. So that looked like for me, I worked 50 hours a week. And it wasn't the same schedule. It was not every like Monday through Friday. It was whenever, essentially. So it was weekends, nights, holidays. So during my off time, actually, I had a really I just had a baby. So I had a benefit where I had an hour to essentially pump. And during that time, I would do some work, whether it was like training or things like that. So I would try to fit into my work schedule when I was on break. But outside of that, on my off days, I focused 100% on prospecting. And in the meantime, while I was at work, my husband, he actually owns a media company, and well, actually our family does. So we would go and film model homes and post them on YouTube. So that was one of my strategies. And then also on my off days, I would cold call. And then I was starting to run ads. I did that a little bit using your social media training, but I found what I really liked. I actually like cold calling. And not the fact that I like it, it was the fact that I got results from it. And so I was like, okay, this is working. It's not the most comfortable thing, but it's bringing me in leads. But the main thing that I decided that I wanted to double down on, where I saw it would be beneficial from a more passive um, way of getting leads, was doing YouTube. So me and my husband, we had a schedule. Every time I would have an off day, I would find new construction homes, and they're everywhere out here. And we would go film a model home. And then he would edit it, put it up on my channel, and then the leads would come in. It started off slow. So there wasn't that many leads, but it was probably like a month in, maybe I started getting phone calls. And through that, I was like, okay, this is what I need to focus on. This is going to set me up when it's time for me to go full time. So the original goal was to get, I think it was 3 deals, and then I was going to go full time. So I got to 2 deals at the beginning of the year, and I had all these leads coming in, and I was not able to dedicate the time that I needed to assist those people. And I was like, I can't do this, working 50 hours a week plus another 20 with at least 20. It decided, like, including if I had showings, and it could be more than that, but at least 20 hours a week of real estate, that's 70 hours a week. So I'm not spending time with my family. I'm not spending time with my kids, and it's becoming a burden. But I knew there was a way that I could get out. And that's when I decided, like, I'm getting all these leads in. I know the process. I know if I stick to it and stick with it and I'm consistent, that it's going to happen. And so that allowed me to make the decision, like, I don't have to work here anymore. I had, a good bit of money saved up that was going to last me the rest of the year. And that's what I did. I just I just left. I gave them a 6-week notice, so I didn't just leave.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just left. And after that, the trajectory of my course and where I was going just really kind of took off.
I love that. It's incredible because I think a lot of people use, the fact that they've got kids or they're married or, a job that, as almost like a crutch and excuse that, I can't spend time doing these other things. But I love that you've kind of taken the approach of, there's still many hours in the day, and, there's always windows of time that you can find in order to allocate it to your business if you care that much. And I love that also, I think it's important for people to understand that, as you were alluding to with YouTube, it does take a minute to build momentum. So the way that you approach it, which I think is beautiful, is that instead of just putting out content and waiting for that to build its momentum and start to convert, you offset that by doing something like prospecting to get now business. And then as the channel starts to grow, you're able to kind of like manage that teeter totter of dropping the, prospecting a bit and focusing more on the content. So, for you, in terms of getting started on YouTube, and it's been incredible to see, some of your videos now are getting, thousands, tens of thousands of views, which is unreal. What kind of content have you been putting out and finding is generating you these leads and opening up these conversations?
So my brand is more of like a family brand. I love, high end, and I love luxury, but I also realize that's not relatable to a lot of people. And if they're moving to Georgia, it's to have a certain kind of lifestyle. So I focus on homes that look like they're able to be lived in with by families. So I haven't done too many, like I just posted like $1 million listing. That's not really like family friendly, but that's just me just going out and showing everyone that what's available in the area. But most of my homes and most of the videos that I get a lot of views on are homes that look like they're like just ready for a family to live in. So they have 4 to 6 bedrooms. They'll be on a good size of land, and they're a typical Atlanta home, like traditional homes. It's not modern. They're very like, friendly to live in. So that's what I feel like people want to see the most of. And I get people calling from all over, not a lot of people within Georgia actually, but they're calling from New York, they're calling from Colorado, where they don't have these types of homes and they want to live here. They want land. They're not coming to, live so close to their neighbors. They want, a lifestyle that they don't particularly get. And so I learned that the more that I played up on that and incorporated that into my brand, that's when my views started to increase. And a lot of it also has to do with, SEO and all that stuff. But the typical like video is going to be like a 4-sided brick home, 6 bedrooms, 3,000 more square feet. And that's what people want. And that's what I figured out.
Yeah, I love it. I think it goes back to, a simple principle that a lot of people seem to just forget or ignore completely, which is understanding your market and understanding your target avatar. Because a lot of people see, all these other people crushing it with their property tours, and they make the assumption that the only way to get clients, get views, and build momentum is if you're doing these ultra luxury properties that are going to get all this crazy attention. But what you realize is the ones that are doing exceptionally well, you and a number of other people in our group, are just looking at what does the mass majority of people want. Because yeah, you have these beautiful luxury properties and it's cool to sprinkle that in, but when you look relative the amount of people that can afford that versus an average price point home, the relationship to that is not even close to comparable. So I love that you've kind of taken that approach. And a lot of people are kind of curious as to how do you go about the conversation of filming these tours, in the sense of whether it be new construction, somebody else listing, anything like that. How do you open up that dialogue and say, will you let me do this?
So it's not usually an ask. I've learned not really ask, can I film your? So what I do is I go into the model home and I just start a conversation with the agent. And this conversation, the initial one, is the most important one, because not only do I want them to allow me to film in there, but I want to start a relationship with them. So when I do bring them a client, they already know my face. So it kind of helped me. So when I first started, I was actually looking for a home myself. So I was going in looking for me. And that's where I learned, a lot of what the builders look for. I knew what the right questions to ask, to where I wouldn't be like, she doesn't know anything, or, like, just because the market's tough. And here we have wait lists. So I knew the type of questions to ask to get the answers I wanted. So the agents assumed that I had more experience than I actually did. And I use that like, yeah, I have some clients that live out of town. Do you mind if I just film this for them? And they're like, sure, yeah. And then they'll ask like, what are you going to do? Or they'll ask my husband, like, when I was like, well, so I tell them I'm going to film it, but then I'm like, well, my husband's outside. I'll get him to come in and film it. And then they see him with the camera and they're like, what are you using it for? Oh, well, I'm going to use it on social media. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. Where do you post it? I said, YouTube, here's my channel. So I give them my channel and they follow me. And it's a benefit for them. Like, they understand I've never gotten turned down. It's a benefit for them because it gives their community exposure. And you would be surprised at how many communities do not have online presence presence outside of their website. So there's no YouTube tours of the floor plans. There's no like in-depth, if the floor plan isn't even available with pictures online, nobody knows what it looks like if they're not building it at the moment. And the people who don't live in the area, they want to see what all the community has to offer. So they really understand that. And there's been a few times where I've just gone to vacant new construction homes that haven't sold yet, and I've done that too. But they're not staged, so it's kind of harder for people to envision. I really love the staged homes. But that's my strategy. I just say, hey, I got clients, and which I do. Like once I show, people on YouTube, I get clients. And I'm not telling them, where we are in the process. They just know I have some people that are interested, and I'm going to showcase your property. And a lot of times that works in my favor and also sets me up for when people are interested. I can go back and say, hey, remember me? And they're like, oh yeah, you put the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And that's actually very beneficial to the people that, decide to work with me.
I love that. And, one of the things I think is important to drive home here is I'll kind of break it up into two parts. Like, number one, in terms of actually converting in the process of these leads, can you give people some perspective as to, number one, how long did it take to get your first YouTube lead and maybe how much content you actually put out? And then the kind of second part to that question is, what does that process look like? Like, are you just putting your contact information in the description and people are reaching out and now you're able to book appointments, or walk people through kind of the start to finish journey of expectations on the front end in terms of the time delayed to get leads? And then on the back end, what does that process look like?
So when I think I started my channel of September 2021, and it was about 3 videos in, and I received my first lead then. So the things about leads is they're just leads.
Mhm.
They could be people wanting to move, inquiring about moving within the next year. And so I think it wasn't the first one, but one of the first one, they're like, yeah, we want to move to Atlanta December 2022. Okay, great. So, but we love your channel. We just wanted to connect with you. And so I made that, connection with them to make them want to call me now to secure their spot with me now to learn more about the market. So it's actually beneficial for them, but it's a long-term game. Um, just last month, I got client. Actually, it wasn't even last month. It was two weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, I had a client call me, say, hey, we're going to be in town this weekend. I want to look at a house. That was the first time that happened. And I got them under contract 2 weeks later. Everyone else has been at least 6 months out. And that's the thing to know. Like, you have to prepare. You have to know how to convert leads, because there's some people that inquire, you go through the whole process and nothing happens. So my first lead, like I said, I got like within a month after of posting. So on to your next question, my process has been refined, especially since I've been part-time. I was less rigid with the process when I was part-time, as opposed to when full-time, because now I don't have time to waste. I mean, you would think I didn't have time to waste then, but I was answering calls whenever I could. I would step into the back room, answer calls, jot notes down in my phone, and try to help them, but that wasn't as efficient as I needed to be. So actually being full-time now allowed me to create a process and a system. So now we have that initial conversation. When they call, I get an overview of what they're looking for to see if that's feasible in the area, and to see their timeline and how serious they are. And I had an issue like at first trying to gauge seriousness. And I just learned the more stronger the initial conversation is, um, the more they are likely to convert. So I started really breaking my process up into 2 conversations. So the first one, the initial, we go over, what they're looking for, not too many details other than the time frame and what they're looking for in the area that they want to live in. I suggest a second meeting that's a Zoom or a video call, so that I can see them to make sure that they're real, and as also for a safety measure too. And that's where I go into my buyer's presentation. I send them a link. We go through the the step-by-steps. Most of them are first-time home buyers, and some of them is just their first time relocating. So it's a whole new process that they might not understand. So I take that time to go over that with them. And then we establish our brokerage relationship during that meeting too. So my number one rule is I only want to work with people who want to work with me. So if you're not willing to sign the exclusive buyer agreement, then I'm not working with you. And it sounds harsh, but I did have a client one time to waste my time. And after that, I was like, nope. And then, I found them the home, I found them the new construction area that they want to live in. I made a lot of rapport with the agent to where like I was going to get them in the house without being on the wait list. And at the end of the day, they didn't want to sign the exclusive agreement. And so that was a red flag. Like, you're not serious about buying. We're not, you can just go directly to the builder.
Yeah.
And so ever since then, I'm like, we're not moving forward until this happens. And, sometimes we'll get through the whole agreement and they're like, oh yeah, sure. And then never sign it. And like I said, those are people who, they essentially don't want to work with me, and they don't want to, they're not serious about purchasing. And maybe they'll come back, a month or two later, more prepared. But, I don't waste time on them because I'm very well aware of the fact that time is the most precious resource. And aside from spending money like gas, you can buy gas, you can't buy your time back. So it's not the fact that wasting money going to show you places, it's wasting my time that I could be doing something productive. Like, at the end of the day, even if I don't have anything going on at work, I can spend time with my kids.
Yeah.
And, instead of running around town with someone who doesn't know if they really want to buy or not. So that's my process. And I found like that has really gotten my conversion rates better, just by having those two conversations and really locking them into it. That way I know at the end of the day, I did everything I could and it was really them and not me.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And a lot of people are, kind of operate their business where they'll take anybody with a heartbeat and, they end up getting burned over and over
Yeah,
and over again because they don't think about the fact that if you lose a client that just wastes your time, it's a net positive increase in your income because you're not wasting time. And I think it's a
exactly.
good approach to be more selective like that. So, for people getting started, people saying, I love what you've been able to do. Maybe I'm a parent as well. And, I'm ready to really dive into this with things like, how you've approached with the lead generation. What's your kind of biggest tip for people that would like to get started today?
So outside of just knowing where you want to go, making a business plan and sticking to it, the number one thing I suggest is just forming relationships, because that has enabled me to not only secure clients, but get them in a home. So, there's been times where I've just skipped the wait list because I went in and talked to the agent and I just asked, hey, if I if my clients can pay the earnest money deposit, will you let them sign a contract? And they're like, yeah, sure. And all you have to do is ask because, they like me. And I think the relationships and building relationships will take you so far in this industry because there's so many people that don't answer their phones. There's like the number one YouTube agent in my city. I had multiple people call me after they tried to get in contact with her, saying she just didn't answer her phone calls. And I always answer my phone, even, if I'm kids screaming in the background, I say, that's my family. Hold, sorry,
Yeah.
that's my life though. But I took the time to answer your call and we can reschedule at another time where it's more convenient. And people, they don't mind because you took that time to show them that at least you cared. And you might not know them, but you care about what their goals are in moving or relocating, whatever that may be. So that's my number one tip. It's just forming relationships also with other agents. With EXP, it's so great to have that option to be able to utilize agent attraction to create another stream of revenue, that I can build relationships with agents and, essentially have them join me. And it doesn't seem like, um, I don't know, it just seems so natural when you do it that way. You just come across each other in industry. You just make genuine connections. Then they start to inquire, like, "Oh, what's EXP like? What is the wolf pack you posting about?" So that's another one of my strategies for agent attraction that I'm going to get more into next year. But that's my main tip for people, especially
Definitely.
if you're, a working parent. You don't have to be just a mom, working parent, and you want to get into the business full-time. Relationships is the quickest way to do that.
For sure. And I've heard a lot of people say something similar. So hopefully people take note of that. And I think that's kind of a great segue into, the last portion of this, as you kind of alluded to it. But, a lot of people are very curious, as a new agent coming into a brokerage like this, what ended up being kind of the thought process and the decision making, strategy that you used to explore EXP and to end up kind of finding our group is the right alignment for you. Because a lot of people, think, being virtual, being cloud-based, that, you're not going to have that level of connection and things like that. But I think for parents, there's a really cool beauty to that in terms of being able to work from home, spend more time with them, and also with the additional income streams, be able to build something sustainable. So what did that look like for you as a new agent trying to decide on the right brokerage?
So I knew I needed something when I was, working full time. I knew I needed something that was going to be flexible, that wouldn't require me to be in the office and attend meetings at a certain location. And, I needed a flexible schedule. So once I found EXP, and I also believe in the future, I wanted to be with a company who was, thinking ahead and not behind. And that was one of the main things that caught my attention with EXP. And then when I learned the flexibility of the trainings and of the cloud-based brokerage, and I got a guest pass and I got to see what the world was like, that kind of solidified that for me. And I knew when I made the initial call with you that I wanted to join EXP, and I had friends that were already with EXP, and they're like, "Oh, you should join me. I'll definitely help you." And that was all great, but I didn't see any results from them helping other people or themselves for that matter.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to connect with someone who was like going to follow up with their word. So I came across your channel on YouTube. I think you were probably already in the mix, and I came across this one episode with when you interviewed Tharmilla, and I was like, "Oh, she sounds just like me." She's a working mom. She seems like, she has this EXP thing down, and she was talking about all her strategies that she used. I'm like, I could really learn from, the both of them. And I booked a call with you, even though, I saw her and we just talking. You're like, yeah, you would align really great with Tharmilla. So, you should give her a call. And so the thing that got me was, in your description, all your YouTube videos, you talk about everything you offer. And the fact that there was no splits or extra fees for it, it was all free, that seemed like it was going to provide the most value for me. And it has definitely done that plus more. And I feel so sorry for the people who like join and they join with another team and that, or group, and, their sponsor might not be giving them any attention. And I know I was actually a little, probably still am, like, the fact that we can reach out to you is kind of like, yeah, I can call Mike if I need to. I'm like, no, I don't think I will.
Yeah.
But it's the option there if like I really needed it. But thankfully I haven't had to, because Tharmilla has been great and wonderful. Between all of our calls, I get so much value from our weekly call with the whole Wolfpack group, as well as our calls individually with Tharmilla and the rest of our group. And it's just been a lot of value that you can't really put a price on. And
Mhm.
I can't think of any other place that I could have gone where I would have gotten the same exposure. I mean, I could have joined a team and gave away 50% of commission split and gotten more deals. But at the end of the day, I would just be relying on somebody else. And I'm a real independent worker.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to work in groups. I don't want to work with other people. I never was a team project kind of girl, because I know what I want to do and I know how I want to get it done. So EXP provided me for that. And then the fact that I had all these resources with the Wolfpack, it's actually a lot, um, almost too much to go through. But I knew that, I wasn't going to fail, because there were so many things as a safety net that I could fall into, whether I want to focus on production or agent attraction. And that's really what just, sealed the deal with me.
I love it. It's been, a pleasure having you in the group and to see your trajectory. And I think, that kind of leads into the final question is, For everybody that's still watching right now, what can we expect from Miss Marty going forward, from your channel, from your goals? What does the next kind of 12 months look like for you?
So I'm definitely doubling and tripling down on video.
Mhm.
We're actually going to Think Media video conference just to get more into like video, no matter what aspect that's coming up, because there's always something coming up. So YouTube right now is my go-to. I'm going to still continue to produce videos and do them more consistently, because the more consistent you get on YouTube, the better your results are. So just keep on with the model home tours. I try not to give out too much, numbers and statistics, because they don't connect with that. You can give it to them on the back end, but it doesn't need to be like, hey, look at my video about this month's homes. I tried that. It doesn't relate. But yeah, just doubling down on video, long form content, short form content, and making my services like a full service kind of package to make it more valuable to people. And like I said, that is my secret sauce, is just building relationships, because that it's so simple, but it's so valuable to people, especially now where your relationship is with your phone. you know, it's hard to make those connections with people. So when you do, it sticks out to people. So my goals within the next 12 months is to, bring in $300,000 in GCI, and just sell as many homes as I possibly can.
I love that. Those are incredible goals, and it's amazing that people can now have the opportunity to partner with you and be in proximity to what you're doing, and to have that alignment and build that culture. So I'm super excited about it. And again, everybody, I'm going to be linking all of Marty's channels and her profiles down below. So make sure that if you want to partner with people that are executing and doing this at the highest level, to make sure that you link up with her and have a bit of a chat. So again, Marty, it's been a pleasure to have you on here to share some of your insight as to how you made that transition, some of the cool strategies you've been doing, and the focus on relationships. So everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. As always, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.